We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And welcome back to Liberty Nation Radio. I remain your host, Mark Angelides. We're continuing our talk on immigration, this time with Liberty Nation's enterprise reporter, Mr. Joe Schaeffer.
Very enterprising Joe Schaeffer. Hi, Mark.
The enterprising and entertaining Joe Schaeffer. Thanks for being on, Joe. Really appreciate it. So we've been talking earlier in the show, we were talking with Andrew Moran about the economic impacts of, firstly, migration, illegal migration, and then the end of illegal migration, what economic impacts that having. But with you, Joe, I want to kind of take this a little bit broader and talk about societal impacts, impacts on the workforce, and the political ramifications of that. So we've seen a bit of a furore this last week over discussion about going after employers who employ illegal migrants. What's your take on that?
Well, the New York Times had an article, I believe it was a few days earlier before Trump spoke, in which he said they quoted, top sources in the administration saying the administration was going to pivot away from going after farm and hotel illegal alien workers because they had been receiving blowback from the employers. And, it's the New York Times. You can never know if they're actually reporting the truth. They've got such axe to wield. But Trump actually came out and made a public statement authenticating the story, saying that we have a lot of good people in the farm and hotel industry don't want to lose their good workers. And, he basically said that they're going to pivot away from this. And, it's not just anecdotal, although I can tell you my friends who support Trump are angry about this. Trump supporters are going to be angry about this. They did not elect him just to deport so-called criminal illegal aliens, which is really a drop in the ocean. They did not just elect him to deport illegal aliens. They elected him to go after the employers of illegal aliens, to change this decades-long construct that not only has helped flood the country with illegals, but has hurt the wage power of the American worker. So, they want real systemic change, and you can't get real systemic change on immigration without going after the employers.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, because there was a report into the Brexit, the potential impacts of Brexit before the vote took place, and I believe it was a chap called Charlie Rose who was doing the report, and he had this as a negative. He said wages would rise because we'd have less immigration come in, and he was selling this as, well, this is a bad thing because wages would rise for the average Briton, and he was ripped for that, and still does get ripped for it today, for saying that it's a bad thing that wages would rise for the average Briton. But I guess the point that he was making was that it's the businesses that have to pay this extra rate to get workers. So back to what the New York Times said, and that Donald Trump, he seemed to confirm, but I'd push back a little bit on that. He says we're pivoting away or towards. And I think Tom Homan, the border czar, cleaned this up fairly well. I'm not sure. I guess there's still a lot of trepidation. Like, have we been sold a pup, as it were? A lot of his supporters might be saying. But he said that we're going after, yes, the employers. We're going after the people who work in those industries. But he seemed to be saying that the priority is the ones that you describe as a drop in the bucket, the violent illegal alien criminals. And I wonder, Joe, maybe I'll play a bit of devil's advocate here, is in terms of damage to the country, society, and the individuals, don't you think that prioritizing those who have committed violent crimes in the country should be the priority, right? Wouldn't that limit the greater damage first?
Priority implies that we're going to take care of them first, and then we're going to take care of the rest of the problem. Now, what Trump said suggested to me that he's not so interested in taking care of the rest of the problem, and so I'm not going to let him off the hook here. His words are very alarming. Yet Tom Homan said they're still going to go after employers. So it's still up in the air, I guess. But what Donald Trump said, President Donald Trump said, is we have good people on these farms, these industrial scale farms, who have these good workers. Well, it's not a good situation on these big farms. It's an ugly, scandalous situation. I've written about it several times. We've talked about it on Liberty Nation before. Abuses to these illegal alien workers are horrific, including rape, death on the job, abuse of children. There was just a case, a civil lawsuit in Michigan. I wrote about it on June 1st before the outcome. The outcome's now been reached. A jury found against a hiring service, I guess it is, for illegal aliens that come from Guatemala via the H-2A visas, the pipeline into America. The jury awarded them $500,000 in punitive damages for abusing their illegal alien workforce. And these people were working 100-hour weeks, 20-hour work days, and they were only being paid 60 out of the 100 hours. It came out to about $8 an hour. So, and according to the workers, they said that they were threatened by they were being charged $2,500 or so to go through that pipeline, the H-2A pipeline. This is, of course, a grotesque abuse of the system, charging them $2,500, which is not in effect, is indentured servitude. You have to work off your $2,500 fee to the company? Is this like the factory store days? It is. So they use that threat against their cheap worker force while they're underpaying them. So you can't tell me it's a situation where we value our good workers and Americans just won't do this job. This is malevolent attempt. This is malevolent intent on the employer's part. And so for when President Trump says good people, good workers, it's not true. We all know it's not true. If you recall, the subhead I had on it was quoting that Leonard Cohen song. Everybody knows the dice is loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. What is those? It's a great song, by the way.
It is a great song.
What does that line mean? Everybody knows, everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. We all know it's a rotten system, but they want us to feel like, hey, we could get lucky anyway. Hey, it can work out for us. When you have societal outcomes that aren't working anymore. And this is what you're especially seeing in England, which is on the point of civil war because their societal outcomes aren't working. Societal outcomes are not working for the American people on a basic level. And if we want to go with farms, look at the obesity crisis, look at the autoimmune crisis. The output of the actual product that these illegal alien farm workers are producing is corroded, cheap, unhealthy food. So maybe this whole model needs to be, I would say, blown up, but at least re-examined. And this model absolutely feeds on exploitative cheap labor imported from Central America.
Yes, the link between illegal alien employment and human trafficking. I mean, it's clear. It's a very, very clear pipeline, and it's not something that's just based in the United States, either from South to North America, but worldwide. People abusing and the visa systems that are in place through disreputable companies that hire for, and the care industry is a prime example of that in the United Kingdom, hiring carers from overseas because they've got the right to bring in as many carers as they like under the visa proposals. And really, they're just treated appallingly. But of course, we're all supposed to applaud that. But look at all these people coming into care for our elderly population. And it's a tragedy on so many levels. We're going to be back with Joe Schaeffer after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.